Almost 8 months after the 2024 general elections, the ANC will finally announce whether its KZN and Gauteng executive committees will be disbanded or not. The two provinces were among the worst performing for the ANC during the national and provincial elections. The body's National Working Committee in December last year decided on the two provinces that will be adopted or rejected at this weekend's NEC conference. Newzroom Africa's Juniour Khumalo joins us now from Boksburg. Juniour, good to speak to you this afternoon. Obviously, top of mind for the ANC's NEC is the performance of these two provinces, in particular the PECs for the two provinces. Which way is it likely to go?
That's a difficult question, Hugo, as the ANC's National Working Committee took a decision last year, but they kept their decision very close to their chest, so they did not communicate it. So we are just going to wait and see what the National Executive Committee of the ANC is going to say about that decision that was already taken. So today it's going to be a discussion basically of that decision. Then the NEC itself is going to take a decision on whether to adopt it or not. But let me just bring in the national spokesperson of the ANC, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. The ANC has already taken a decision, but it is going to be deliberated on at the party's NEC meeting today. Can you give us a sense of how that conversation is going to be structured? The NWC is going to deliver it to the NEC. Then what happens? Is there a vote that is going to take place?
Well, thank you very much, Junior, and thank you very much to other media colleagues. Today really is about putting finality to a matter that has been, going on for some time, following the National Working Committee's visit to the two provinces of KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng province to assess the state of organization, to look at some of the underlying factors behind the electoral outcomes nationally as well as in those provinces and as well as other provinces, because there will be a focus on all provinces. So with that, the starting provinces are these two. And we had to do that because of the electoral outcomes, where really we didn't do well in those two provinces, and also considering the contribution of these two provinces to the vote share in the country. And it's important that we establish how best to rebuild the organization by doing a thorough diagnosis. Two National Working Committee visits took place to both provinces. And of course, ongoing work has been happening under the Secretary General and the conveners of the NEC deployees to those provinces. A discussion document was put out, more like an assessment report, put out in the NEC and discussed it at length, presenting a number of options to try and rebuild our structures in those two provinces, to ensure that where we participate in government, we participate and our deployees participate in a manner that locates the ANC among our people, to ensure that branches, regions of the ANC are strong, they are working, and they are hard among our people. They relate to the challenges that our people are facing and all of the things that the ANC should be all about. We are now today going to consider the report of the officials which went to the National Working Committee yesterday. It is now a report of the National Working Committee to the entire National Executive Committee. It is expected that part of that conversation will include the options that are now well known to the public and to yourselves as members of the media. Three options that were initially punted in that assessment diagnostic report, which the option of maintaining the status quo and continue with the work we're doing and rebuilding the organization and renewing the organization anyway. That would be the first option. The second option, the option of what we call reinforcing the existing PECs in particular by bringing in the ANC's brains trust in those provinces, the veterans and others that really understand the strategies of the ANC on the ground, mobilization on the ground, and those that have provided political leadership in the province in the past. I will use examples of comrades such as Jeff Hadebe, Sibusiso Ndebele, Mike Mabuyakhulu in KZN, for example. That will be option two. Option three being the option of a total disbandment of the two provincial executive committees, or case by case, each provincial executive committee, or disbandment or suspension. And these, of course, are provided in Clause 12 of the Constitution. So that is really the options that are going to be looked at, and the NEC will then pronounce itself on those options.
Sis Mahlengi, KwaZulu-Natal received about 17% of the electoral support. Gauteng received 34% of the electoral support. The Western Cape received 19.5%. But we are not hearing the ANC talking about the Western Cape and what could possibly be happening to that leadership. Is it going to be a focus of the discussions that are going to take place today?
Certainly the reports that will be presented will speak about the need to look at the organization as a whole. And of course, this was done because there was a Lekgotla where we did a thorough post-elections assessment. And that assessment produced an outcome that led us to focus on these two provinces. And I must hasten to say, this is not just a focus on Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. The plan of the National Executive Committee is to go into each of the provinces in a more detailed manner than we've done in the past. So it's important to clarify that there are a number of weaknesses with some of our provinces that can be overcome, some of which are a product of our own weaknesses, some of which are a product of developments in the country and in the world, and how we need to position the ANC, including on the ground, to be able to do that. For example, how do you do basic organizing in an age of technological advances, and whether we are fully deploying what is at our disposal as part of growing the ANC, as part of communicating with members of the ANC. So we're looking at a lot of things. The state of communications in the ANC. Do our members know whenever we articulate positions of the ANC? How often does that information filter to them on time? All of those things, we need to do introspection across the board. We have done so, but we're starting with the two provinces.
Okay, just to take it back a bit. Poor performance needs no justification. Those who didn't perform well should be held to account by the organization. Why not just disband the two provinces? Why are we tiptoeing around this?
Well, the culture in the ANC is that you don't take decisions without being consultative, and also without doing your own self-criticism. It's an important principle. The National Executive Committee itself, in the report that will be presented, will be giving an exposition of how we've reflected on our own failings at a national level. But because of our own failings at a national level, it does not mean the right to look at the provinces and the performance of provinces is suspended. So I'm just saying that it is the product of that Lekgotla assessment. That is why we are doing what we are doing. We can't just disband a province without following due process. We also have to be dutiful to precedents. Remember, it's not the first time there will be a reinforcement or disbandment or keeping of the status quo. We need to learn from the lessons of the past, where we've had cases of disbandment. And I think the NEC will be considering all of those things, including risks there too.
On the 29th of January, Mrs. Mahlengi, it's going to be 8 months after the elections happened. Why has the ANC taken so long to take this decision, given that we are going to be going to the 2026 local government elections? So if the ANC was going to disband some of these leaderships, then it could have done it earlier so that it can then focus on the local government elections. Why has it taken the ANC so long?
Well, I think it's a product of consultations. It's a product of being thorough, so that we are not accused of looking for easy way outs and easy solutions in an environment where we have not done a thorough appraisal of the organization on the ground. It was necessary for the National Working Committee to go to all the regions in KZN, all the regions in Gauteng, to really get reports from the regions themselves, and which are a reflection of the status of branches. It was important to internalize those reports and engage the provincial leadership on the basis of what regions are saying, as well as hear the side of provincial executive committees. And in fact, it's not even a matter of the side of the provincial executives, but reflections by PECs. So it took long, and it had to take long because when you decide to reinforce, particularly when you decide to disband a structure, it's not an easy process. You need to rebuild. You need to assure your structures that the center is still holding. You need to assure comrades that are affected that this is done in the best interest of the organization. It is not a punitive measure. So to be able to satisfy all those things, it is important that we go through a thorough process. The ANC is not a small organization. So the culture of consultation also takes into account that you have to consult with the leagues and all of those, with the veterans, with all of those that are affected by the decision that gets taken. Ultimately, even if we take long, the decision that we do need to take must be in the best interest of the African National Congress.
That is the ANC national spokesperson, Mahlengi Bhengu-Motsiri there, Hugo, speaking to us about why it has taken so long for the ANC to come to this decision on whether to disband the PECs of KwaZulu-Natal or Gauteng, Hugo.
Juniour, the question that I would have liked to hear, or certainly the answer that I would like you to the question, speaks to what level of responsibility the ANC itself as a party takes to the performance or lack of performance in the elections. And I'm sure that's something that you will be able to find out as the day unfolds. Juniour, Khumalo, that's where we'll leave that conversation. Appreciate your time. Coming to us from Boksburg ahead of the ANC's NEC, which is going to be taking place during the course of today.